All right, so this first question was sent by T-Worthy X1. When my opponent is significantly stronger than me, what can I do to make sure that they do not gain a dominant position on the ground?
Well, typically, when you're going against a bigger person, you don't want to fight strength for strength, so you got to use technique. I like to tell my students that you got to play the small man game. Make yourself nice and small and agile. I like to particularly use my speed and my agility to basically get around the bigger, stronger object. The problem is that the people, if you knew, as soon as you feel opposition or strength, you want to fight back in the same manner, and you just can't. So that's when you have to start playing more of a game of chess, and less of a game of checkers. So I'll always advise my guys to play the small man game, keep it nice and tight, and look for the opportunities where you can use more leverage to gain a better advantage and not just strength. So to me, it's not a technical answer, it's more of a philosophy and a strategy.
All right, so this next question was sent by Pitch HTML. Even after I manage to get a dominant position like the mount, my opponent is still able to escape. What tips do you have to make sure that they will stay where I want them?
Well, if you get a dominant position like the mount, what really helps is having heavy hips. Being able to sink your hips in. Almost get I really would like to call this a plant position, meaning that you can sink your hips so far in to the sternum that you can actually levitate by putting your arms up in the air, because now you're just holding your body up just with your hips driving down and your core strength. From there, a lot of times with people on the bottom, they tend to try to step up. We're in a hand fight. We're going to make sure that the hands not pushing on our knees, and we're going to try to keep their bodies flat on their back. Because when a person starts turning and start getting the hip side and start stripping, that's when it causes problems. So the goal is to keep their back flat on the mat, and then one of the things that helps is, like I said, creating heavy hips. As far as like other positions, from side mount, maybe a half guard, having strong underhook and creating heavy hips, it really, really will help with making sure that the person stays positioned on their back and stay flat. These are times that you gotta have, it sounds like an oxymoron, but you gotta create no space. Your movements gotta be tight, you gotta be precise, and you gotta have nice, strong hips.
And how would you recommend strengthening your hips if they're not already up to par?
Your hips, we're talking about your glutes. So one of you is 2 parts. Strengthening your hips, and also having decent hip flexibility. Because a lot of people tend to have very tight hip flex muscles. The hip flex muscles would be more like your psoas muscles. Those would be the muscles that actually bend your hip. So mostly when you bending down, those are your hip flex muscles you would use to flex the hips. And the reason why that is, a lot of people sit down for a long period of time, maybe watching TV on the computer, driving, so those muscles become super tight, and then your glutes, which stays in more of a extended position, become inhibited, meaning that it become weak. So obviously, you got to increase the strength of your hip extenders, and then increase the flexibility of your hip flexors. So with that said, stuff like doing deadlifts, kettlebell swings, hip bridges, those things that are actually to conceptually finish the exercise, you have to really drive your hips and use your glutes to get stronger. So, typical exercise that most people do, most people tend to do it wrong. In other words, when they do like a deadlift, they come up and they don't quite finish. They come up and they stand up, but the finish will be when you actually flex your glutes. Get those things super tight, drive your hips. I'm not saying to overextend your back and kind of look like you're leaning back. Now that's putting too much pressure on the spine.
Yeah.
But we're talking about we're talking about the full range of motion going all the way down to your hip is 90 degrees and drive. And when you finish the drive, you nicely squeeze your butt cheeks. So doing that from deadlifts, kettlebell swing, those things will actually get your hips a lot stronger.
Alright, so this next question was sent by Vault Rename. Once I've been put into a position like the mount and my opponent starts ground and pounding me, or going for submissions, I start to panic, making it even harder to escape. How do you keep your cool and escape while being ground and pounded?
So first and foremost, the biggest thing about these positions, I think, is not getting in that position. Because if you can put him out against a big guy, you basically make him screwed. There are things you can do, but if the philosophy is there. But if you get there, or you not bad to allow him to get there, you may be screwed.
Yeah.
So maybe your best choice is that one. But that's it. So to pass that, I mean, staying calm, control. Okay, you got to understand what he has to do to land a strike. But him land a decent strike, he got to posture up after that down to bump and bridge and strip out. Okay, so one thing, if you're talking about ground and pound, one thing we're not gonna do is put our hands in our head and block so tightly because you still run up the punch. Mm-hmm. So when somebody's throwing this wild looping punches trying to finish the fight, you catch it. We call it a mifa. Your arm don't go up straight because if you go straight, that's like a setup for an arm bar. Okay, so you don't want to extend your arm straight. You actually go about 45 degrees and catch it in the air. And like your hand turns like a little bit of a snake, like a sea grip, and you try to catch. And then when you catch the punch, you catch your thing, and then you wrap it up, and you do a power walk. Mm-hmm. If this is not MMA, if this is just jiu-jitsu, you have to be thinking about bucket and bridging, bucket, bridge, strength. Buck, bridge, strength. Like those things have to be consistent. You cannot let a person settle. It's a mentality thing, meaning that your level of intensity and your will to not concede to a position, meaning that if someone looks like they get a mount on me, as soon as I feel like I'm losing my position and they get mount, I'm bucking and bridging right there. I can't let this person settle. When you let every second you let him settle, you let him, really secure his position, it's going to become increasingly more difficult to get out of there. Don't get me wrong. Some guys are good. Some guys, no matter what you do, you're going to get mounted. Okay? And that's the way of life. There's always somebody bigger and better. That happens. Like I said, the guy is probably expecting you. Probably need to go back and train a little bit more. But if you can help it, even when you get him out, you fucking bitch right then and there. We do not concede. And that's it. It becomes a mentality. You don't see the position. You're like, oh, I'm tired. I'm just going to let him get this. And then I'm going to try to work out of it.
Yeah.
So I was already just like, man.
Alright, so this next question was sent by Axel Usis. Even though I am a big guy and can overpower most people, I always lose my ego rolling with more experienced people in the gym. The thinnest, wiriest dudes will flip me, sweep me, and use their technique to almost completely void my strength. Is muscle not much of a factor in BJJ?
That's why BJJ was established. Somebody like Gilbert Jamal Smith, who typically was a weaker guy, started creating techniques that would allow for a smaller guy to take out a bigger guy. So that strength plays the fact that it does. There's nobody to deny. Anytime you roll with a strong guy, the guy's really strong. Even if our technique is superior, it does create an obstacle. Just like if you roll with a flexible guy, if you roll with a tall guy, small guy, whatever the case may be, you're down with no neck and you like so. You have to find a way around these oppositions. Now, with that said, if you are the strong guy and that's all you have, you're gonna find more. You're gonna fail. You have to be able to increase your knowledge base in grappling and understanding movements and then understanding how to attack, how to defend. These things are going to come with experience, it's going to come with training, it's going to come with having a good coach and all those things. But you have to have an open mind. I tell you all the time, it's just like in boxing. I can tell you how many times people come into my gym that's a complete meathead because they got no mechanics behind the punch.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with our jiu-jitsu. These muscles ain't gonna save you against somebody with good technique. So, with that said, I'm not saying having strength is a bad thing, because they once actually a great thing who was his best jiu-jitsu son, whatever, and he said it was Dickinson Gracie, but he said it would have been Hoyer Gracie. However, Dickinson was just stronger. They like the same. They got good technique. Dickinson was just the biggest, stronger guy. So when the playing field was even as far as technique, then the strength would come into play, and then the strong guy win. But if me and you the same on technique level, we say blue belts, but I'm just strong than you, then I'll probably get you more often than not. You have to learn to be tricky. So it's not like strength is a bad thing, but jiu-jitsu shouldn't be your main focus.
So experience and technique is always going to beat strength in BJJ?
I won't say always, but
within reason.
I will put my money on somebody that has more experience and more technique.
Alright, so this next question was sent by Luz Cappy44. Whenever I attempt a submission and fail, my opponent escapes into a better position over me and I'm screwed. It makes me not even want to try. What can I do to prevent this? Are there any submissions that can still keep me in a strong position after he escapes?
Well, first and foremost, I would say not to stop trying. You have to fail to succeed. Any millionaire will tell you that. Any businessman will tell you that. Any successful athlete will tell you that. You're probably going to fail more than you succeed. But the attempts have to come with a certain amount of learned lessons, but the failures have to come with a certain amount of learned lessons, meaning that to be going for armbar and every time you swing over the armbar, the guy's arm gets out. I mean, maybe not controlling his posture, maybe your movement is not as fast as they to be. Maybe, when you swing your arm around, your knees are not tight together, you're not clenching the tail. Just crazy space, whatever can be. Those things can be fixed. I never go against somebody that have that attack mentality, so you attack. That's the way you should be, I believe, in jiu-jitsu. Some moves are more risky than others. I would say that much. If you try to go put some fancy move that you saw on YouTube, you run a high risk of, not getting the submission and then losing the position. But if you stick to the fundamentals and the basics and practice and drill, that's the problem. If you want to do stuff live, you want to practice one move 2 times, you try to go live, drill may kill it. So if you practice your move 1,000 times, it will become better and become better, and you just keep learning the mistakes. So the all moves, this is all really a philosophy thing, at the end of the day, because I can't give specific ideas unless I have a person to go over technique and drill or give them. But it's all about just perfecting your craft and getting better at it. So I'm trying to keep going, keep attacking. Give your coaches, your trainers, your professors, learn, try to figure out the mistakes you're making, and don't give up.
Alright, so this next question, how important would you say your grappling skills are to your fighting game?
For me, it's probably one of the biggest aspects of my fighting game, because obviously most people know me. I have a significant amount of submission wins on my record, so...
Yeah, that's why I contacted you, because...
Yeah, so I'm pretty proud about that. Don't get me wrong, kickboxing, boxing, I love it. That's me, and sadly, I think if I had many knockouts, if I had submissions, I'd probably be one of the best UFC fighters. At the end of the day, people just love to see knockouts. And people appreciate submissions, but they love seeing knockouts.
Yeah.
But I am who I am, and I'm not going to change. So I get better in that aspect, but I do believe jiu-jitsu, grappling, wrestling, All the things are very key because I'm able to dictate what the fight goes, and at the end of the day, when things go bad, I feel like I always got that little ace in my pocket I can pull out and get the fight down to the ground and be able to survive down there. So it's a big part of my game.
All right, and so this last question. Do you think it would be possible for a modern UFC fighter to rely solely on his striking ability without having any grappling skills?
No.
Not at all?
Completely ridiculous. As a matter of fact, I just started training a female who came out the WCAT program. She boxed for the Army, and she has won. She has medals a lot of different tournaments, locally, national, and also internationally. And she's been boxing for over 13 years. And when she came to the gym, and she did go out for the Olympic qualifiers, and she didn't qualify this year. So she felt like she spent so many years in boxing, she wanted to try something new. So she came and started doing MMA. And one of the first things we had to do was work on our ground game. Where our boxing was really good, one of the top nations, she was 30 nation. So we was like, okay, we don't have to work too much about your boxing. We need to work on your wrestling and your jiu-jitsu. So we spent a significant amount of time working on that. And maybe some head kicks if somebody can get a kick, but she could see those things a little easier than take down. And we worked so hard. She just had her first fight last weekend, and she beat the girl up so bad. The girl, we knew she was going to beat her up, understand? That wasn't the question. But the girl even tried to take her down. My girl, which her name was Melissa, was sprawling. She did some ground and pound. The girl went for an arm bar. My girl got out of it, slammed her again. It was just like, she did the gambit of, grappling. She didn't go for no submission attempts. I could see she was starting to work to take the back, but it didn't quite happen. But her defense was good. Her takedown defense was good. She was strong. More important, she was comfortable from a girl that's been boxing for 13 years. And she was one of those boxers that makes fun of MMA fighters.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of those boxing enthusiasts that was like, MMA is stupid. Street fighting is not real fighting. It's not a sweet science.
Yeah.
And until she got a taste of it and realized how hard, the first week was brutal. She was like, this is freaking crazy. She was sore on places that she has been sore before. She had mad burns all over. She was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. But as soon as she started loving it and getting better and getting better, either way, she had her first fight. She dominated the girl. The girl did not come out to the second round. She couldn't in the first round.
Wow.
So yes, grappling is very, very important, even if you're a high level striker.
To be a well-rounded fighter, you need grappling skills now. You can't base without it at all, you'd say.
Yeah.